Okay, so again, I had a thought and I wanted to capture it. So I was reflecting on. It doesn't matter what I was reflecting. So the nuance that I have picked up on is something that I've understood intuitively for a long time, or have believed intuitively, or had a inkling about, but I couldn't put my finger on uh, why I thought that or where that belief came from. And now I might have found the actual real answer for this. So, and the detail was, well, the context is there is a way you could get energy or motivation by trauma maxing, which is like you have some experience that really hurt you and you just can't let it go and you just hold on to this and you just use it to how should I say, rev you up and push yourself. And on paper, that is very powerful. That's very effective. You're channeling your negative emotions into something positive, right? Or something productive, or you're sublimating it into something, right? So um, it's getting channeled into something. And on paper, you would say, yeah, I'm gonna suffer and get the result. And our culture is very, how should I say, glorifies this type of ideas a lot right now. And I've realized, and not like a quality of life argument, but like a real practical reason why this is actually not desirable. Um, so the issue is, if you're trauma maxing, what are you doing? Like on a hormonal level, you're maximizing stress. Like this goes up a lot, and you're minimizing serotonin, which can be kind of like your, how should I say, like how calm or relaxed you can be, or how satisfied or happy you are in the satisfied way, which can actually be actually kind of bad in a way. It's anti-productive. Like you can't. I had this notion that you could just oh, whatever, serotonin makes you happy, and that's not really something that correlates with being able to push yourself and become more alive. It's something that is very sedative, in my opinion, at my understanding of it, at least right now. And so you're maximizing stress, which is killing your serotonin, and it's also killing your testosterone. Uh, well, not really. It's a little bit of, it's a bit more complicated. It's more like your, yeah, your testosterone. By the way, don't like take my word for this. Apply your own thinking. I'm just proposing an idea. It's up to you to review how accurate it is with your experiences or other information, right? This is just things that I have picked up on. All right, so I'm not going like, oh, the biology of this is such. This is just my understanding, and I don't really care enough to right now go and try to verify this understanding or validate it. And nor would there be any point in that. What the fuck is the point of looking at studies made by fucking retards, right? 90% of the time, who knows? Like you can't even trust them in the first place. Um, okay, that aside, so your testosterone goes down, and what else goes up? Dopamine goes up like crazy. That is the configuration from trauma maxing. Why? Stress raises your dopamine because you feel engaged, you feel like you need to go and do whatever the fuck you're doing, right? For whatever reason. Like, imagine you're like a life or death situation. You'll have really high amount of dopamine and really high amount of stress, and they help you engage, and you will get better results under that uh, configuration for a short period of time. The problem becomes is if you stay in this state for a really, really long time, and that's what trauma maxing is. It's when you're constantly trying to leverage the state as your primary energy source, and you're constantly high stress and constantly high dopamine and low serotonin and testosterone. Why low testosterone? Because stress, um, the way it affects your testosterone is it actually in um, they con they go against each other. They oppose each other. If you have very high amount of stress for a really long time, it will hurt your testosterone levels. So by staying in this mode for a really long time, you're hurting your testosterone, which in the long run will actually be problematic. So for long term, what might be more useful is to maybe lower the stress. Um, just have honestly, you don't really need stress. Fucking raise your testosterone because it's what will help you have like the most long-term benefit. Uh, and serotonin honestly doesn't really matter. Could just stay neutral or negative. Testosterone plus dopamine is probably the more optimal configuration. Or I mean, serotonin. I don't know. I don't really know if it would be useful because it could make you less prone to acting or interested. Maybe a little bit of stress, like not a high amount, and like this is probably like the more optimal config. But doesn't matter. So the point with trauma maxing is how you should say, like if we were to break this down into their base, fuck, I don't know how to spell it. I don't think it's with an H. Cortisol. Um, if you were to break it down in base chemicals or whatever, and look at how they actually affect you, a really high amount of stress over a long period of time erodes you. It makes you feel less of yourself. Uh, it makes you highly alert, but it erodes you by mechanism of how should I say? This is my vague understanding of it, um, which is your sense of self comes from testosterone. In a sense that your ability to face challenges, your ability to feel interested in challenges, your ability to feel engaged with challenges, your ability to just be able to observe yourself and be able to kind of engage with the um be able to just engage with things. How should I say? If if testosterone was to be explained in a what it is, it's I want or I feel like I have an impact on the world or something along those lines. I feel powerful. That is what testosterone translates to. And the opposite of that is I feel powerless. And what is the ultimate form of powerlessness? Powerlessness. It's not existing. Like, power is what makes you exist. If you can't affect anything, imagine you're a ghost. You're just like, you don't even have a body. You're just floating around. Your sense of self will be highly eroded because you won't feel how you are able to affect the world, which will drop your testosterone like crazy. That's why testosterone triggers or high social status or uh, s- competition and winning in competition, and why um, these all relate to when you're high social status, you're able to feel more responses uh, in your engagement to the world. You're more seen, you're more um, you feel like you're able to affect it more. And if you're a very not dominant, then or you're very weak relatively socially or whatever, and you're not able to achieve your things and you always lose, yeah, it's gonna drop your testosterone because it's proof that you can't affect the world. It's proof that you are weak. It's equivalent of becoming a ghost or going in that direction, right? So your sense of self is closely tied to your testosterone. Um, I don't know for females. I honestly don't care about females. I'm just speaking off my own experience. I've not really consulted with any females, and uh, good luck to me to meet a female intelligent enough to fucking talk about this with. I'm talking purely about how it affects males. So, and cortisol, because it just does the opposite of that and puts you in high alert, which ends up uh, eroding that or going in the opposite direction. And then dopamine and serotonin is like how hungry or how fulfilled you are. I guess that would be accurate. So this would be hunger, and this would be fulfillment. Those would be like the corresponding explanations for them or mechanics that they're responsible for. Um, People glorifying trauma maxing is a problem of detailization. What do I mean by that? There might be um, a mix of good and bad in something. There's like a saying, separate wheat from the chaff. What does that mean? That means to get the best part out of something and discard the bad part. The same is also true here. There is a good part in trauma maxing. You get very high dopamine and you get very high alertness, right? Those are important, those are useful, we want those. The problem comes um, with a big downside, and we need to, how should I say, understand it a bit on a deeper level to be able to find which parts of that are useful. So I'm not saying that trauma maxing is the worst thing possible. I'm saying that it is something that works, but there are components of it that we could um, change or swap out for other components, and then it would actually work long term without you feeling like you don't even exist after a few years and just completely breaking down, like your sense of self. Um, and how do we achieve that? I don't know. Let's brainstorm right now. So let's say, okay, yeah, we don't want cortisol. Honestly, I don't know. From what I'm experiencing right now, what seems to be working is kind of this. It's not stress based anymore, but this like a stubborn approach. like uh engaging with disengaging with serotonin and disengaging with cortisol and honestly even disengaging with dopamine. Um and just maxing from a sense of do it or gay. Like you don't do it because it feels extremely good or you feel extremely attached to it or whatever. What I've found is once you start working on something and you're kind of in it, like you getting in it might not feel so good. It's very like you might need to I hate the word force itself because it implies the what I don't mean, like a wrong form of engagement. It matters how you're thinking about it when you're doing it. If you're going into it and you're like, oh, I need to do my work. Oh, I'm gonna try this. You will feel like shit. This will, uh, by your body, be interpreted as low testosterone. You're being forced into something, and then this will erode your sense of self. Don't do that. But if you think of it from a perspective of even it could be the same action, right? And you just approach it with a different framing of uh as this person I should be able to do this. If you were to engage with it as like a personal challenge or like yeah, just take it personally and really try to make it bend to your will. For example, I don't know, for me in early like years, for me this was always like math problems. Like you find some math problem that is like you can't solve and it's really annoying and you just can't solve it no matter what. You just don't have enough information. But just kind of like uh, getting really triggered at the fact that you can't solve it and just solving it is one of the first things that, for me at least, comes to mind of something that would actually be correct engagement. It's like I have faced a very strong obstacle and I have overcome it. There's nothing more fulfilling or nothing more sense of self building than that. Like, oh my god, I have just cleared a big thing and seeing that and actually thinking of that as a result of self and appreciating that. I think that would be way more productive. And then what I found is generally as you get into the process and you're doing that and you start seeing things move as you apply force onto them, then dopamine just comes on its own. You don't really need to worry about it. Um, y- you will never have a situation where you're doing things and shit's working and dopamine doesn't come unless you have like a it's working by a result of suppression, in which case your testosterone is going down, which is why you're not getting dopamine. Right. Okay. I know. I just wanted to explain this because I feel like this is something that I've thought a lot about, something I've really considered for a really long time, even in I didn't upload this video. It was a little bit too all over the place, but um, it's something I've really thought about. Um, and to me, it's just clear now what not to do and what works way better.